Hurry!
What is it?
Look out! It's a monster!
Let me take care of it! What the hell is this thing?
I found Kenneth killed by this thing. Let's report this.
Zombies are some of the most iconic and memorable enemies that either Chris Redfield or Jill Valentine will encounter during the events of the game Resident Evil. The most common foes that walk the halls of the Spencer estate, these decaying horrors will be eating away at your resources for your entire stay in the Arklay Mountains. Born from the insidious minds of the researchers that once studied bioorganic weapons at the mansion, these formerly human individuals have been infected with the T-virus, a virus which has stripped away almost everything of the people that they once were, leaving only a sauntering, hungry shell to take their place. The story of these zombies as we know them begins with the development of an offshoot of the progenitor virus known as the T-virus. The T-virus was developed by a man named James Marcus, a brilliant scientist who, in association with Oswell E. Spencer and Edward Ashford, would form an organization known as Umbrella Pharmaceuticals. Each of these three men would establish research facilities in the hopes of using this progenitor virus to force human beings to evolve through mutagenic means. And while each of these men would see successes in their own right, it would be Marcus who would create the strand which he would dub T. Marcus would create this new T-virus by mixing the progenitor virus with leech DNA, and with its creation, he would begin testing this new breakthrough. But, unfortunately for Marcus, Spencer had set up moles in his facility, and in 1978, a protege of Marcus's, William Birkin, would take several samples of the T-virus and bring them to Spencer's estate for his own research into this promising new virus. Under Birkin, the virus would see several very important alterations. While Marcus's T-virus already gave infected subjects aggressive attitudes, cannibalistic impulses, and significant necrosis, this state was seemingly only achieved if the subject was injected. Birkin, on the other hand, under Spencer's wishes, sought to remedy this pitfall. And so, in order to increase its contagious capabilities, Birkin would splice the T-virus with a deadly RNA virus known as Ebola. The marriage between these two deadly viruses would create vastly more effective bioorganic weapons. Humans injected with Birkin's version of T would keep many of the properties that Marcus's virus had initially given them. However, with the introduction of the Ebola RNA, it allowed these zombies to infect others through bites or scratches, allowing the virus to spread much more effectively. However, for Spencer, despite this remarkable breakthrough, he still wasn't satisfied. Due to the complicated resiliences of the human body, despite multiple attempts, the researchers could never achieve a 100% success rate of infection. Regardless of their efforts, 10% of people were seemingly immune to this zombie virus, and thus research shifted from these walking husks to much more deadly creatures that could deal with those who were immune to the T-virus. And so life would go at the Spencer estate for quite some time. The researchers working day in and day out to create ever more impressive BOWs, capable of dealing with the survivors of the virus. That is, until May of 1998, when an unforeseen accident would cause a full-scale outbreak at the Arklay facility. An airborne strand of the T-virus, known as the Epsilon strand, would disperse throughout the laboratory, causing these scientists, who devoted their lives to this research, to become its newest test subjects. Documents left behind from some of the staff at the facility recount horror stories of the effects of the virus on the human body. Sores would form on the skin of those infected. A constant fever would eat away at their mind, and an itchy feeling would eventually cause them to tear off chunks of their own skin in an attempt to quell this itch. Eventually, the virus would eat away everything that made you you, leaving the person functionally brain dead, leaving only the instinctual desire to feed. However, this constantly driving hunger isn't the only thing that makes the zombies of the Spencer estate so formidable. Due to the effects of the Epsilon strain of the virus, an odd phenomenon would occur within individuals who had been infected. If, for some reason, the hosts were to lose consciousness, say from taking a lot of physical damage, their body would go into a dormant state. And in this state, the virus would begin aggressively transforming the host's body. Once the virus had completed its reconstruction, the new creature would be even more formidable. Its speed and strength would grow exponentially, as would its agility and aggressive nature. The scientists referred to these creatures as V-Acts, but after several researchers lost their lives when coming in contact with them, they earned the less formal name of Crimson Heads. Zombies are some of the most dangerous creatures that you'll encounter on your journey in the Arklay Mountains. While on their own, these sauntering, almost aimless creatures may not seem like much of a threat, when multiple come out of the woodwork, it makes them much more difficult to shrug off. And if you allow these rotting bodies to fester, they won't hesitate to spell doom for any would-be adventurers skulking around the Spencer estate.